Morning folks, this is another common modification that I do. Quite often get asked to raise a transom on a boat. Sometimes you just raise the transom 50 mil, 70 mil, but this guy's putting a 30 on a 3.8, I think it is. 3.4 metre tinny. He's putting a 30 on. I think he wants to go on the tinny races in WA. This is how we do it. I'm going to cut out two pieces, very similar to this. This is one of them. The other piece will have a 90-degree fold over the top, and then it'll have some bracing on the inside, and then I just weld it all out. Okay, I'll fill up all of the holes, because the existing holes that are here are no longer needed once we build the transom up. I've asked the customer to measure exactly where he needs it to be, and that is that the cav plate is at the bottom of the hull. It's very important that this height is correct. So he's done that and he assures me that everything's right, and I'll go ahead and make that for him today. Okay, so here's the bit I cut out before, and now I have cut out a back panel with an extra fold on it, like I said we needed. Okay, now I want to put in a couple of stiffeners, like so that we can't crush the two together, okay, when you do the bolts up. And I've just measured the boat, and the boat is, the hole centers are outside of 150 mil. So I'll find the center. Center of it is 700, the length of it is 760, so that's 350, 380. 380, double check the other side. 380 it is. Okay. I'll put one in the center, and then I need to have 150, which is 75 each side. 75 each side. Oh, it's a bit tight, but it'll be all right. The reason I have to have 150 is because the bolt holes are inside here, and you don't want to crush it when you do the bolts up for the motor. So that's going to be fine. This will get welded. The other piece, this will sit on top here like so, and it will get welded, and we'll put that together. Let's go. Going to use the MIG again today. It's the most efficient type of welding, and structurally it's sound enough on this job. We could use the TIG. It will take 4 or 5 times longer to do so. I'm just going to tack these in place. He needs a square. All right. So when I've tacked it, I want to keep these square as well, just for good common practices. You've tacked it on one side, so you stitch weld it on the other, and it just counteracts the distortion that you get from aluminium. Then I can turn my welder down by pressing the button on the top here. I'm turning it down to 3.4, which is still reasonably hot. That is probably enough welding on that. It's difficult to get a weld on this side here, but I will try to just get the ends of it. I can't get down the bottom here. I will put it in place first and make sure that everything's right. I've left a little lip here. You can see this lip. I've left that lip so that the hook for the clamp on the hook gets caught. I'll put a weld all the way along there, and this will be fillet welded into position on the boat as well. Okay, so now looking at the inside of the boat here, and I'm on the outside, this is how this is going to fit up. It sits in here like so. And I found that it's a little bit high on both sides. It's probably enough to get away with it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to trim just a fraction off the bottom of this here with the sander, just to make it all sit right. That's just the way we work. So we'll get the sander out and we'll trim that little tiny bit off along the bottom here. Okay, so I use a Hitachi grinder. They're my favourite. Also, I use Cubitron discs. Cubitrons are the best. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish to be sponsored by them, but Cubitron, they're the best that you can use, and you'll see why. I'll rip this off in seconds. Bit of protection. And there we have it. That's all we're going to need. All right, let's put this piece in and see what we've got. Very nice fit. A nice little weld in here. Nice little weld there. All the edges are touching inside here. These uprights miss all of the holes in case they want to drill holes to block it in. We don't want the holes to run into these cross members, and they also miss the ones down the bottom here as well. All right, so this will be fully welded. We'll do that in a sec. And then the other piece, will fit in here, like so. It needs a little bit of trimming as well, just to get it all to sit down nice, but we'll trim that in there. First of all, we'll pack this into place, because it is right. And we will make the other piece fit. There is a way to put a jigsaw puzzle together. That fits very nice on there. Get it to sit in there and stay there. Just starting to rain again. Bring you around this side, we'll have a look at the fit up. There we have it. All right, and that will give us internally a beautiful fillet weld to fill up. All right, let's get on to some welding. In actual fact, I'll make the internal piece on the other side first. Okay, and now that all of this is set up, I'm going to make this piece fit in here. Whatever needs to be trimmed off, needs to be trimmed off. Already around the wrong way, so this is the right way, and this way fits a lot nicer. So every boat is different from one side to the other. It doesn't matter that they're made in jigs, you've still got to deal with individual people working on things. So I'm just going to trim a little tiny bit off this top edge here so it slides in underneath this piece. That's all I need to take off. Do it on both sides. Just the line thickness of my pen. I'll be back in a minute.
Sometimes things just don't go to plan, and today is one of them. This edge here got blown away by too much heat, so I'm going to have to sand this edge back with the sander and make it a nice clean edge. A mistake is only a mistake if you notice it. So I'm just going to sand that back and make it look like it was meant to be. I also sanded off these welds here and made this edge nice and neat. I had a quick little wire buff, and I'm going to have to fill some holes in here, and then we're away. So here's a little welding trick that I use. I've got to fill in these holes. The ones that I can get into from behind, I'm going to put this little bit of flat bar, and it's a copper piece of material, and aluminium doesn't stick to it. And I hold it onto the back of it as a backing plate and then weld up the hole quite easily. If you just try to weld the hole, you tend to blow it away and leave bigger holes than what you start with. So this is my little trick. It's a little piece of copper. I've belted it into shape so that I can just lean it against the hole when I weld on this side of it. The aluminium doesn't stick to it, and I just break it off on the back and it'll fill in the hole nicely. Alright, so I'll put it in the back of this one and I look for it. We cover up the hole there. Then I can weld it up. Here we go. And once it's welded, you pull that away. As you can see, it hasn't stuck to it. nice and neat so that I can sand it off. Same again on the bottom one. Cover up the hole. One more. These ones, I can't get into the inside of them. So I'm going to have to show you the difference of trying to do that. So I just turn my machine way down low and just hack them. This is the brilliance of having a Ferronius welder. They are just hands down the best machines money can buy. Again, not sponsored by Ferronius, but I would like to be. Anyone watching out there? Alright, all holes filled. One. I'll just sand them off, and this job is complete. Again, Cubitron discs, leader of the pack. Well, this brings us to the end of another video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and this is what we need to do, and this is how we do it. So stick around, subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more. Always happy to answer questions if you have something. Had some really good feedback from the last video. Thank you all for who commented. Great to know that people are out there watching me and support me. Thank you very much. See you next time.